So, as I wrapped up season 1 of Invincible, I had to just take a minute and process the amount of violence that I had just watched in the season finale. Like, it's just as psychologically fucked up as it is physically. And I think that's something unique that this show has to offer. They find a way to connect with the audience through the violence. That's crazy to think about. I mean, the beginning of every episode, they flash up a title card, and every time they show you the title card, it gets more and more bloody as the season progresses. That's the perfect word to describe the show, actually. Bloody. Even this Invincible action figure that I got. It is bloody. All this violence and blood and gore in this show, you know what? I fucking love it. This show takes place in a world where superheroes exist. Mark Grayson is just a regular high school kid whose father just so happens to be the most powerful superhero on the planet. That's Omni-Man. And suddenly, finally, Mark gets his own powers, much like his father's. And this show explores Mark's experience as a brand new superhero, Invincible. You'll learn about other heroes and other villains and how this world works, and then they obliterate your expectations. There are way too many great characters in the show, so I'm just gonna narrow it down the best I can. Mark is your main protagonist, and he's as regular and relatable as he could possibly be. And he gets Superman-like powers. That's living the dream, right? Wrong! There is a huge learning curve in how to be a superhero and flying and fighting villains. And he just gets thrown into it and he takes an unbelievable amount of punishment. He gets the shit kicked out of him a lot. However, he is a resilient character. Also through Mark, we get to see the psychological trauma that a new superhero has to deal with. I'm happy that we got to see this world through his eyes. And I'm very curious about what's gonna happen with his character next season. And then you got Mark's dad, Omni-Man. Basically, he's Superman. An alien that came to Earth, he fell in love with a human, and they had a kid. Very interesting perspective he has on humanity. And along with the power of this character, he also has some powerful moments. Mark's mom, Debbie. She's just a regular person who has a superhero husband and now a superhero son, and in a lot of ways, she's the strongest character in the show. I'll leave it at that. And then you got Cecil, who's like the Nick Fury of this world. He runs an organization that's very much like S.H.I.E.L.D., and I gotta say, I think I like him more than Nick Fury. Yeah, he's more willing to be more of a piece of shit to save the world. And I also think he's smarter than Nick Fury. I really like Cecil. And I also love all the technology that he uses. Good tech. There's tons of other heroes and villains that come through this show, but I gotta point out my favorite character, who's the Hellboy character of the show, Damien Darkblood, a demon investigator that never wants to go back to hell, so he tries to do the right thing by solving mysteries. Awesome character. I love Damien Darkblood. This show is definitely its own thing, but it's also about reinventing the superhero genre. And I fucking love it. It's one of my favorite things I've seen this year. I put it on par with The Boys. It's something about the writing. I think it's very smart, and it's Robert Kirkman. Robert Kirkman knows how to write good shit. And something that I love is that there's so much superhero shit out there now that you can't avoid cliches. You can't avoid similar characters to other franchises. Kirkman takes these cliches and he gives them a clever twist to differentiate. And then he takes that and he shows you something new. For example, you've got this character that's exactly like the Flash. Only in this, they call him the Red Racer. They give you the Flash, they give you a clever take on him, and then they show you something new with him that you've never seen before. And the new thing you get with Red Racer that you've never seen before is fucking violent. Another one they have is like a Hulk type character called Monster Girl. It's a little girl that transforms into a big green monster. You know this character, she's just like the Hulk. Oh, clever twist. Every time she transforms into the monster, when she's a person, she gets younger. So it appears that she's this little girl, but actually she's in her like mid-20s. And with this minor character, they show you she's willing to sacrifice something to save people. Clever shit. Alright, the cast of actors in this show is fucking stacked. Maybe you've heard of a few of them. You've got Stephen Ewan, J.K. Simmons, Jillian Jacobs, Mark Hamill, Seth Rogen, Zazie Beetz, Sandra Oh, Jason Mantzoukas, Walter Goggins, Zachary Quinto, Mahershala Ali, John Hamm, Clancy Brown, Ezra Miller, Digimon Hansu, and it goes on and on and on. They even have Justin Roiland do a cameo in this show. You know, Rick. And for the most part, they all do a very good job for regular actors and not like voice actors. Although Mark Hamill and Clancy Brown do voice acting regularly, so you can tell that they're like on another level. They're definitely better than anyone else in this. But still, everyone's pretty good. The story. I was in from the get-go. If by the end of the first episode, you're not like, holy shit, then maybe don't watch the show. The escalation of events from episode 1 to episode 8 is nuts. And you get to watch how all that responsibility and chaos and everything that happens weighs down on Mark. His greatest weakness is his inexperience. So you get to see this character learn and grow and develop throughout the entire show. And this inexperience leads to him getting the shit kicked out of him a lot. It's a character that has to learn and grow from his failures. It's also interesting that his dad, Omni-Man, the greatest superhero on the planet, just kind of takes a step back and lets him experience failure. That leads to more effective and relatable results. The characters are all great, and there's a lot of them, from superhero teams down to singular villains. And somehow they're able to take all these characters and develop them and fit them into the story very well. And somehow it works. And it's good to see that creative process just work out. It's always great to see the characters drive the story. Those are my favorite kind of stories. As far as the animation goes, I thought it was fine. I did notice that they cut some corners with consistency, probably budget related, but it was fine. I'm sure as this show gains popularity, the animation will surprisingly get better. The violence. It's jarring. I had an idea that the show would be violent. I didn't think it would be this violent, and it had this way of gripping my attention so I couldn't look away. There's so much blood and guts, it's almost obnoxious, but it's effective, and the first episode will show you how effective it is. The conflict in the last episode of the show is so fucked up. So much shit goes down physically and emotionally that it's almost exhausting to watch, but I was so into it. And there's also this incredibly heartwarming moment that totally caught me off guard. It's just so good. By the time the season was over, I had so many questions, and I'm so excited to see where the show goes. I want to see how they build and deconstruct these characters. Luckily, we got at least 2 more seasons on the way. So yeah, Amazon Prime, go check out Invincible. It's one of my favorites. One of my favorite superhero things. Loved it. See ya. Subscribe.